Since the fall of man, a war has raged between good and evil. Over the centuries, this war has distorted the truth. Now the truth is perceived as lies, and lies acknowledged as truth. To this day, the battle continues as we investigate and debate the truth behind the history and mystery of the universe. We are Paratruth Radio.
He was an Englishman occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, mountaineer, and a Satanist. He referred to himself as the Beast 666. Tonight, we talk about the man and the monster known as Aleister Crowley. Now Paratruth presents TSR, Aleister Crowley. What's going on, Parafans? So this week we decided to share with you a guest appearance we did on Talk Supernatural, talking about the one and only Aleister Crowley. Without further ado, here's our show with Talk Supernatural.
Welcome, you guys.
Hello.
What's going on?
Thanks for helping us out tonight.
No problem.
So, how are you guys doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Got a pretty good high from recording the show with John B. Wells, so this should be a very interesting show for you.
Oh, cool. I love it. So I thank you guys so much for taking time out, because I know you got your own show, and Justin's planning a wedding, and Eric's a little busy making a movie, so...
Just a little.
It's just a little thing.
I know how that movie scene grow, bro. I mean, I get busy myself, Hollywood, back and forth, New York, Florida, I'm all over the country, Europe. I know what you mean.
With your personality, you would be able to do it. I guarantee it, Scott.
Yeah.
I think we're sort of limited to comedy sports right now. So do you guys want to, before we start, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about Paratruth Radio?
Absolutely.
Justin, take it away.
Paratruth Radio, it's been going for a little over a year now. We started this show after, what was that, about a year and a half hiatus for us?
Yep, just about.
And it was kind of a combination of two shows, Parasite Radio, which was my show, and Forgotten Truth Radio, which was Eric's show. We started out with Night Stalker's Paranormal Radio way back when on Blog Talk Radio, went to ParaX, split, and he started Forgotten Truth, I started Parasite, and we're on two separate networks. And after a while, Eric decided to leave ParaX for personal reasons. I left the one network I was on and started doing Parasite by myself for a little bit. But doing that gets a little expensive, so I stopped doing it as well. Not to mention my listener base was 2 listeners, which was my family. So Paratruth Radio was born, and it's been a heck of a ride so far.
I mean, the truth is, the only reason he quit Parasite Radio is because I wasn't around anymore, and he was just very depressed and lonely, and he knew he couldn't go on anymore without me. So,
well, all I got from you was Eric's random fact of the day, man.
I know, it was a teaser. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I see, Justin's more of the parasite.
Right. Yeah. I like to suck off of people.
Yeah. So be careful.
Careful.
Well, I think you guys got an awesome show. So that's actually how we met, because I really liked your show and I commented and took it from there.
I thought we met when I gave him the autograph when they were out there in the Philippines.
You mean when we gave you the autograph, Scott? Right, absolutely.
So much for the true side of their station.
Well, tonight I thought, then, since it's October and people like to be scared, we got to talk about creepy things.
October.
What? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's just, I don't know. It's like...
What'd you do that for?
Because you sound like you have an asthma attack.
I have an asthma attack. What are you doing? Go get here.
It's like a tick with him, isn't it? He just has to do it.
He does.
I got to. It flows, man.
I think if we take all the little things that Scott says, we can make a little mix CD and make music out of it, and it would be awesome.
That would be so funny to do for Christmas. Little Christmas gift.
I got Scott's
CD. Greatest hits.
I hate to see the people who buy it, though.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we're having so much fun, and then here we're going to start talking about Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right. And I want to tell our listeners that towards the end of the show, too, a little bit about your show, Eric, your movie, because then, maybe people might want to donate to that rockin' flick.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But so as far as tonight, Aleister Crowley. Oh, God. The true evil in the flesh. What's darker than that during Halloween, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
He is the epitome of evil.
I myself just like to call him Al.
Yeah. He'd probably hate that. Well, for anyone who by chance is unfamiliar with him, Aleister Crowley is the notorious and renowned occultist from Britain. He's often referred to as the wickedest man in the world. To this day, he still has followers, which is creepy because, I don't know, either people are that dark that they agree with what he stood for, or they're just that stupid to follow evil, I guess.
Right? Basically, either way, you're kind of screwed.
I guess. Now, wait, was it you, Eric, that mentioned that you had an interest in his work just because he was so weird?
In a way, yes. Some of the stuff was just very interesting. Back before I was saved, I used to study it quite a bit. And one book in particular, which he did a foreword on, was The Lesser Key of Solomon, which is supposedly I think it's 72 demons that Solomon had conjured up. And it not only tells you of the names of these demons and what they're associated with, but it gives you the magical incantations to actually do the ritual yourself and how to protect yourself and so on and so forth.
Oh, sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's fun. It sounds fun. Nothing
if you ever need any help with anything, you just conjure up some nice little evil spirit and, have them wash your car or something.
Exactly.
Do what you got to do, bro.
Well, a little synopsis about him. He's nearly a historical figure. I mean, that's how I see it, because he seems to inspire the counterculture movement in the 60s. I mean, he's just nutcase. But he's well known in the paranormal and the New Age circuits for molding a cult-like religion from his bizarre spiritual beliefs and his dark practices. Ugh, he's so creepy.
Ew.
Yeah. But basically, what I see it as, he took old school ritualistic beliefs and formed them with what I would believe is dark principalities into a contemporary form. I mean, I think spirits were leading him. That's how I view it, at least. What's your take on him, you guys?
Oh, well, other than his real name, which I thought was kind of funny, Edward Alexander Crowley, and if you went up to him, in hell and was like, "Hi, Eddie," you never know what would happen. But
something I've thought about often.
Eddie.
It strikes me as he was a very fundamental character for not just these evil things that he did, but he was very profound person as far as what he did. He was a mountaineer. He was a poet. Not necessarily the best poet. I hear his stuff was rather comical and lewd, but if you look at the guy, you just see a really creepy character, and then to hear the name and associate the two. And if you don't know what he did, I do recommend you guys just researching the name, because you don't want to get into stuff that he was doing, because he does have several books out there, as well as people that were associated with him, which, oddly enough, I found fascinating that Scientology was one of the things that was inspired by him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And I know that, oh God, I always forget. What's the guy's name who started the Scientology? What's his name?
John Travolta.
Oh, that's Tom Cruise. John Travolta, exactly. So him and John Travolta used to hang out. Yeah. And isn't it Hubbard? Hubbard?
L. Ron Hubbard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was saying that he knew Aleister Crowley, and Aleister Crowley was saying, no, he never knew him, and they had this little tiff going on or something. And then they got to know each other after that happened. But then it sounded like to me like Hubbard was following his works and was sort of like into his stuff.
Want to be Al's friend?
You mean Edward?
Eddie's friend. Yeah, Eddie's friend.
Like Cousin Eddie from Vacation, crazy Cousin Eddie.
Oh yeah. You tomato paste, huh, Eddie?
I love that. I've been studying Aleister Crowley because way back when I was involved with the occult, I didn't even want to mess with his works. So that's I think a deeper level of dark.
Yeah.
Just because he was nuts.
Well, he went out of his way to seek, pursue, and find evil.
Yeah.
At every level possible, and mastered it.
Well, do you think he was just evil, or do you think he was crazy, or maybe demonically influenced, or?
I don't know, maybe he just had some bad soup or something.
Yeah.
Maybe all three.
Yeah. Well, if you look at pictures when he was younger, I mean, he could at least play it off that he was maybe like this deep, introspective kind of person, which he was. And he just hid his stuff only for a short time. And then it progressed into like being like this crazy, I'm going to go bald, look psycho kind of guy.
Bald dude.
His name's still well known, and among anyone in the occult thing, they're going to either love him or they're going to hate him. But you don't find too many people
you could love to hate him.
You could.
Good.
And his last name was Crowley, but he wanted to be called Crowley, so it sounded like holy.
Oh,
what's up with that? So you guys calling him Eddie and Al, probably just ticking him off right now. I'd say turn over his grave, but since he's cremated, that would.
Well, yeah, that'd be a little bit of an issue.
That'd be a little messy. Well, people tend to forget that he was born in 1875. Like a lot of people, I mean, even when you got younger people involved with the occult, they think he's like active, like he's alive. Right. He's from the 80s or something. It's like, no, 1875.
Only good things came from the 80s, Heidi. You know that.
I do.
I came from the 80s. See?
See, proof right there. See, Eric Truth right there.
I noticed Eric got kind of quiet.
Yeah. I can't lie about that one.
Well, I was born in the 70s, but I lived in the 80s, baby.
I was born in the 60s, baby, and I'm still living and rocking it.
For people who don't know what you look like, they're probably envisioning this, like, do-rag on you and you're on this bike. Yeah.
Well, I probably wouldn't have the bike in the house, Heidi.
Well, not right now, I mean, in general.
And by bike, we mean the bicycle, because he never could afford a real bike, probably. I mean.
Well, for Eric, it's probably the tricycle.
Hey.
Not,
I like the big wheel, good sir. The big wheel.
Oh, I loved the big wheel.
Yeah, I had one and the handle broke. And I still drove it around. And then the other handle broke. And I still rode it around. I had to hold onto the hub in the middle.
You never told me that story. I feel like I don't even know you.
I know.
Oh.
Eric will give me his when he's done.
Still break it again.
Yeah.
Anyways, gosh.
Nothing like getting off subject. Good going, Eric.
Rabbit trailing, as we like to call it.
Eric's like, it's not my fault.
Ask Justin, whose fault is it?
It's Eric's.
Oh, God. I give up. I quit. I'll see you guys next week.
And I'm not even going to take sides because as I recall, I was being called a demon last time. I didn't even do anything.
That was not from me. That was all Justin.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right, but let's get back to Al. So, Al.
Eddie Al. Ed.
So, another thing that's interesting.
Edel. Mix it to Edel.
Are you going to...
Just do your thing.
I can't do my thing when you're like in your... I don't know what you're...
In a deeper thought? Sorry.
Oh, calling him Edel is not a deep thought.
It's, whatever.
Well, he was raised by more or less Christian parents, but he was torturing and killing animals at 12. And when he was 23, he joined the Order of the Golden Dawn, which is a group that's focused on spiritual growth through occult practices and magic. And then in the 1900s, he socialized with a lot of the British elite. Which
you don't say.
You don't say. But that's where you sort of get into the whole, aristocrats and royalty and stuff, the Illuminati.
Those aristocrats were like them little cats or whatever.
That's a kid's cartoon, Scott.
Oh.
We're big kids now.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, do you guys know about the whole, like, Aleister Crowley Illuminati thing?
I don't know about the Illuminati, but I do know that he was linked to the Nazis and the first German regime and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Probably a good chance that it was bad. He was linked to it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was bad, I'm sure he was linked to it in that time.
I know some of this research I did on this whole thing too. There was a couple of things that I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is worse than I thought.
Well, he sought out evil, and he it's like he put it on like a robe and was proud of it, and so people almost were attracted to it. They sought him out. He almost didn't have to seek out people. They sought him out.
People seek power.
Yeah.
And if they have to do all these good, wonderful things to seek God's power, they figure that's too much work. But when they can do the crappy things and it's easy for them, they'll take power the other way. It's called crappy power.
Crap power. Aleister Crap Power. In his book, Confessions, he says that he was initiated into Freemasonry at the Anglo-Saxon Lodge in Paris. And the Freemasons tie into the whole Illuminati. He claimed that he was the master at the Studholme Lodge, which is like the most highly honored Freemasonry place in the world. Now, Tony Blair is rumored to be a member of that, which
there's people involved in this. I mean, you guys know as well as I do through research, when you start researching Illuminati, Freemasonry, and some of the people, all these different things, names pop up that just shock you. You're like, what? How'd this guy get in here? I didn't know that. I mean, It's amazing how deep embedded this whole thing is and how naive we all are to what's really going on around us.
Yeah.
Except for me, of course, but, no duh there. I mean.
Well, with the whole I'm not really huge into conspiracy and all that stuff, but I know you are. But there's just some neat, interesting things, but we can get into the whole Illuminati thing a little bit, but now his book, because he wrote a lot, he had a lot of writings, Right. In his book Magic, he says that the devil is the serpent Satan. He is life and love. He is light, and his zodiac image is Capricornus, the leading goat, the head, the Godhead. I'm thinking, what is that? And you guys being believers too, you're like,
well, we all know goats lead the world.
Well, not only that, I mean, he was originally an angel of light. How does he have a zodiac sign?
I don't know. Well, because you realize that he's the lead goat, and lead goats are always mad.
That is so terrible. Oh my God, that's probably the worst one yet.
I thought that was great.
I don't know if I can continue. I need a minute. Oh my God, that's terrible.
I mean, it was right there. Leading goat head, the Godhead, because they're mad. It's so simple.
I think we're probably gonna be stalked by Crawlites, like the little people.
Crawlites?
Yeah, that's what they call them. The little crawly people. They call them the Crawlites.
Oh, look out! There comes a Crawlite now. Get the red can.
Anybody who hears this episode, they're to be like praying against us and doing their little ceremonial rituals. Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Oh goodness.
Well, Eric's been through that before. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Have you? You've had people pray against you in shows and stuff?
Oh yeah. Actually, it was the show that I did about Aleister Crowley.
No.
Yeah, and I was doing just this, talking about Aleister, and basically I was talking about how he's a Satanist and practiced a lot of black magic and so on and so forth. And so some of the pagans that I spoke to at the time, they were, getting a little argumentative with me, and they're like, well, he's not evil, he never did black magic, he was a good guy, he's not a Satanist, so on and so forth, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, look, I'm not here to say necessarily he was or isn't, I'm just giving you the facts. This is what I found to be true. And so the one guy got a little upset, and he's like, you want black magic, I'll show you black magic. And of course some of the other pagans had to step in, like, no, don't do that, that's not cool, you're giving us a bad rep, and so on and so forth. And I was just like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, luckily, luckily our God says that any curse that is directed towards us will be reversed on them. So it's like, you're protected. It has no effect on me whatsoever. But some people, they just believe Aleister to be this hero. And actually, in a lot of the research that I've done over the years, and in particular the last few weeks leading up to the show, a lot of the information tells us that, or speaks of him as being a hero. Yeah. He's someone to look up to, someone that we should consider as, you know, one of the higher ups when it comes to just the men in society that we should look up to. And it's just like, I don't know why or how or where it comes from, but when you look at the information, it's pretty obvious that this guy was not a hero by any means.
No, definitely not.
But Eric, you could look up to him. You'd have to throw the ashes in the air, though.
Oh. I'm going to have nightmares tonight. I'm going to have nightmares. There's going to be a dead goat on my lawn. I can see it now.
That reminds me of a song. The whole thing is, you give Satan a bad name.
He already has a bad name.
I mean, he himself recognized he was evil, admitted he was evil. The things he practiced and wrote about that he actually did with some of the things he performed, why would anybody defend the fact that he's evil when he's saying, I am evil, I am rotten and terrible?
But he was saying more or less that to you it's evil, but it really isn't. So it's almost like he's trying to warp right from wrong.
You should always kill your neighbor and watch him drip dry.
Yes.
You know,
it's the righteous thing to do, dude.
When you proclaim that you are the great beast 666, there's no denying what that means. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, and not to mention, he started a magical sex occult and ended up giving himself the name Baphomet, which we know, is an image used by the Satanic Temple. So it's right there that obviously he was a Satanist.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would want to defend fact, like you said. And
it's just so weird. It's such a mishmash in the New Age and spiritual realm and occult and everything, because you've got sort of like Christianity. There's supposed to be one Christian belief, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, and then you've got thousands upon thousands of sects of Christianity. And it's the same thing with New Age stuff now in the occult. It's like you've got all these people who believed in Aleister Crowley's work and they follow it. But then you've got people who deny that God existed, whereas Aleister Crowley was like, no, he does exist. So it's like everything's pick and choose what you want to believe.
Yeah.
And you can go to different websites and you've got young kids who will believe this stuff, they read it.
A mixture of just anything and everything, just like you said, and somehow it becomes true. What you'll find, generally, demonically influenced or possessed people will quote Scripture.
Yeah, and he did often.
Because even the demons know that God is real. James 2:19 says they believe and they tremble.
Yeah, those demons believe. So
they believe.
They know God's real.
Well, one thing, too, which I had talked to Kay about last week on Paratruth Radio, is anybody can twist a biblical passage into something that they believe and then defend that by saying, this passage says that what I'm doing is okay, because if you read it, it says that what I'm doing is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally true.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, Christians in general, a lot of different, sects of religion, their fault is that they don't take the entirety of the passage or the entirety of the chapter or where the history of that chapter came from and what they're talking about.
Oh, perfect example would be that one where most people say, all you got to do is resist the devil and he'll flee.
No, the first step, it says to submit yourselves to God.
Yeah.
Then resist the devil, and the devil must flee. See, they say the devil must flee. I believe in God. No. You have to submit. And you start looking up this word submit and find all the definitions of submit and what God wants from you. Then you'll have the power to be able to stand free and clear, and the devil is going to resist you because God's on you.
Right.
You wear baptism. You wear the Holy Ghost. It is you.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like I said, Christianity is just parallel to the occult. People will pick and choose what they want, and, they make it, and I don't know, that's why it's all messed up, I think.
It's totally messed up, dude. It's a conspiracy.
Well, and in regards to just what Aleister believed necessarily, you can look online and find a number of quotes by him. One in particular that I actually found in a book of mine, and I have here online as well. He wrote, "I was in the death struggle with self. God and Satan fought for my soul those 3 long hours. God conquered. Now I have only one doubt left. Which of the two were God? And it's like, obviously, if he was fighting for God and saying that God literally won, he would be clear and to the point as to who God is.
Yeah.
But here obviously he's trying to make Satan out as some kind of God in of itself, and try to lead people down a path that obviously you and I know and Justin knows, which is not the right path. It's a very dark and sinister path. And unfortunately, people are just twisted, I guess.
Yeah. It's funny, too, that you mentioned that, because we had just talked to John about the Baphomet statue, and there was a video that was put up on Facebook about this whole unveiling of it and everything, and all these different Satanists coming around to see it happen. And this one guy, God love him, because Satan probably loves him more for the dramatic thing that he was saying. Oh, my God, Satan is coming. And it was like a scene from a movie, how dramatic he was being about this. And I could just see Aleister Crowley being just as dramatic about what he was doing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, they need to understand that their God, Satan's already here.
Yeah.
It isn't anything that we worship. Anything we do worship is a God.
Right.
So who's to say he's wrong? Look at how our world has declined. Society has replaced God with everything and anything but God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean...
So when you stand back from God, that leaves plenty of room for evil to come in. And Aleister Crowley will, and it's just, when you said he was dramatic, it made me think of, he was so, with the whole Freemasonry thing, he thought so highly of himself, and he was like the Kim Kardashian of the occult. He was just so, me. And, he did not like the lower class Freemasonry, where you've got, when we were doing I think we were doing a lecture once on Freemasonry, and we got some information from somebody who was part of a temple, and it was secret that they gave me this information, and they sent it over to me on PowerPoint, and by coincidence, our entire electricity just on our little block went out, and my computer crashed.
Wow.
And
this was,
and it was sort of funny, because I was telling a friend of mine on the phone that afternoon, and I said, I'm doing this and this and this. And he goes, do you see an unmarked van in front of your house? And he laughed. He was making a joke, but there was an unmarked van in front of my house for 6-7 hours. And I was just assuming it was cable. I didn't know. And so you've got a lot of Freemasonries who have no clue that the end result, as they stay in this, is evil. And so they're trying to do good works, and it's all political to them. And that's what Aleister Crowley hated, was that they were being used as this political tool, and he called them too refined and too polite. So he actually hated the Masons. He was all about the top-notch dogs,
Yeah.
So that was his thing. But it was just a stepping stone for him. He just wanted to get his hands in every aspect, I think, of evil possible. And then the whole thing, like you guys mentioned, about him changing his name so that it would try and match 666. That's sex.
Well, sex is intertwined with Aleister as well. Because
that's true, so it fits.
A lot. Well, you guys know the verse in Revelation 13 that says, "Here's wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So Al Crowley was able to derive the value of 666 from his own name in English, Greek, Hebrew, and Kabbalah.
I don't think he got that intelligence on his own either. I think he was demonically led. Just, he was fed a little bit. He was a good tool for. Do you guys believe that he was demonically influenced, or do you believe he was just an evil guy?
Well, I think regardless if someone's going to be evil in any way, it's going to be demonically influenced. I know that man in general is fallen, but when you're doing stuff like Aleister Crowley has done, there's obviously something or someone leading them to do just that, So yeah, I think based on some of this 666 stuff and everything, I think he was led by demons or by Satan himself, even, who knows.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you're starting to do evil things, something's going to come up to bring you further down. So,
yeah. I thought it was funny, the whole, because it ties into Scientology a little bit. In 1904, when he said he had communication with a spirit or an extraterrestrial, that Egyptian god Iwas or whatever. Yeah. It brought forth that whole book of the law with do without wilt.
Iwas gone home.
I don't think it was sweet little E.T. at all. And then he said this is where he believes when God or Jesus stepped off the throne and the new God would take his place. So I'm thinking, where, and then people just follow this. It's like that game Telephone, where you have a sentence and then it goes around, and by the end it's all distorted and everybody thinks it's funny. And that's what this is like. He takes half-truths and he mixes it up.
Well, Satan did that from the start. Takes partial truths and mixes it with lies because that's what gets people to believe.
Yeah. And then he taught that to live forever, you needed to prey on little children, exhaust the life out of them sexually.
Yes, take all the life out of children.
And then in his book, Magic and Theory and Practices, on page 94, it says that the highest spiritual work, the greatest and purest force, most satisfactory and suitable is the innocence of a young male. And so that's where the whole, attacking and praying little boys and doing all that stuff.
He even bragged about killing 150 male children in 1 year. And somehow he got away with it.
And then you'll find so many famous people followed him or whatever. And then you'll find a lot of people like you guys are talking about where they stick up for him and they're like, no, he wasn't. It's like, he said he was.
Yeah,
right. How can you say that?
But he said it. Right.
He admits to killing 100 and some little boys and children, but he's not evil. He's just weird.
Yeah, he just needed some energy. It's like, give the guy a bowl of sugar, save the lives.
Well, then he believed he was a reincarnation of that magician, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's like Eliphas Levi or something. He died the year that Aleister Crowley was born. And this Eli guy was totally heavy into ceremonial magic and the powers of Satan and stuff. And then, so Aleister Crowley says that he was reincarnated from this guy. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the same demon hopped on over. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
The
blue jean demon.
What?
Levi.
Oh.
Levi.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
All you got to do is read.
Blue jean. Yeah, we'll get to that, though.
Suit yourself then.
So, another thing I noticed was that he came from a Christian family.
That's, now we see that.
And that's real common. I mean, you find a lot of these people, I know Marilyn Manson, and there's a lot of strange people that come from this Christian faith, and then they
that's the ones that the devil likes to attack, though.
Yeah.
He likes to. It's not much gain to try to get somebody who's already on your side. What's the point of that? You always reach to the other side. That's how battles are won. You always want to get something from the other side. And so Satan's always digging for the other side. Take something from the other side to your side. That's victory. It's not victory to take one of your own players. It's like, well, I already used you.
That's true.
So to take somebody from a Christian family or a good background or something like that, it's like, look what we did. Look what I did. So
yeah, and because he preyed at his evil and his pride in a way, people were attracted to it. And then the other thing is his connection to the Masons. Okay, so
they were all bricklayers.
The whole Mason thing, it's already widespread in politics, and that's just a common thing now. Everybody knows that. It used to be conspiracy, but it's pretty common now.
It's most people have heard of
it.
Illuminati and Masons. I mean, they may not know any details, but they've heard of it.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but I find this interesting because there's this book on his life and a couple of them. But
it's fascinating.
So, the Bushes were President Bush and his kid, that whole Bush clan.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be Masons and Illuminati, Skull and Bones and all that. But here's what's interesting is, Barbara Bush was Barbara Pierce, and she was possibly the daughter of Pauline Pierce and Aleister Crowley. Did you guys know that?
I did not.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. So
blow your mind.
All right, Pee-wee, calm down.
So the story goes is when Aleister Crowley was here in the States, and he was transforming into this whole occult thing, and he underwent this ceremonial thing where he took in every drug and every sexual lust thing going on in a matter of like 48 hours, and that's all he did. So this happened over...
Good to have goals.
It happened within a 48-hour period or something like that. But within this month, he was friends with a couple of, I guess, politicians or whatever. And so he was friends with this one guy, and then his wife, and his wife had a friend who was Pauline Pierce, sorry. And she left her husband, and I don't know if it was like she left him, or if she just was going on vacation to see her friend.
Hell.
And she was with Aleister Crowley and her friend and her friend's husband for this time of his transformation, and they all stayed in the same area. Like, I don't know if it was a mansion or house or what they lived in, but so she was with him for like about a month and a half, and then she went back to her husband, and 8 months later she has Barbara Pierce, who we know now as Barbara Bush. So I just find the timing real coincidental, and that's sort of a rumor that,
dun, dun, dun.
And if you know, everybody's like taking Barbara Bush's picture next to Aleister Crowley, and they're like, okay, you know, is she like, you know, great granddaughter or daughter, or whatever? You never know. So
I mean, it's not a 100% type thing, but there's some
coincidence,
right. Evidence, and then these people become world leaders. Never know.
Yeah. And if I get in a serious car accident within the next month, we all know the truth.
Well, you know, how about we talk about being one of Al's women? This is not real beneficial. His first wife, she died in a mental asylum. His second went insane. 5 mistresses committed suicide.
Well, I would too if I would be that guy.
And most of his known mistresses ended up homeless, alcoholics, drug addicts, or in mental institutions. So, being one of Al's chicks, not a good idea.
Well, considering what he would do to them, right. According to a book that was written by Rosemary Ellen Gooley and had a foreword by John Zaffis, who is a very well-respected demonologist in the paranormal community. Mm-hmm. In this book, the Encyclopedia of Demons and Demonology, there's a 5-page spread on Aleister Crowley, and Rosemary goes on to mention how he had actually filed down his teeth at one point and would mark all of his women by biting their leg and leaving scars on them so that they would always know that they belong to him. And so
No. No.
Run, Heidi, run.
I'm cutting the mic. Yeah, I mean, and that's just what we know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, gosh. I think, yeah, and I remember I did hear that. That's nuts. Ugh. And then he had a huge influence on music, too. Like, I was shocked at the whole, when it first came about, now it's just well known, but the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band album, where he's on that. And I'm thinking, why would they, the sweet Beatles,
oh
no.
Beatles were in all kinds of junk.
Well, John Lennon had an interview with Playboy magazine, and he said, they asked him about it, and he's like, well, the whole Beatle idea was just to do what you want, right? Take your own responsibility. And he was paraphrasing, do what thou wilt. And then Ringo Starr was talking about Aleister Crowley, and he says, well, we put him on the album because it's people we like and we admire. And then, like you guys were saying, Paul McCartney said that these are our heroes. And then if you look on, there's a famous picture of all 4 of them. It's not on an album, it's just a famous picture. And like John Lennon's doing the devil goat sign thing with his hand or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And Paul McCartney looks like he's doing the OK sign. But Paul McCartney said he wasn't doing the OK sign. He said, no, that was the Aleister Crowley thing, where it's the number 6 and then the 3 fingers up were stood for 3. 6, 6, 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's just all these little hidden things, and that's why it's the occult. It's secret and it's hidden, and you got to dig to. And I'm sure you guys do your research on all your stuff, too, so you know when you start researching stuff, you just learn so much, as long as it's valid, obviously.
It gets deeper, my friends, much, much deeper.
It doesn't get any deeper than you, Scott.
That's true. And then there's Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. He was a devout Satanist. He bought Aleister Crowley's house. One of his houses, it was on the Loch Ness thing. You know, the whole Loch Ness Monster thing? Yeah. That's like,
I've seen the Loch Ness Monster.
You did?
Yeah.
On TV?
No. Lake Michigan.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You did not see it on Lake Michigan.
How do you know? You weren't with me.
Because there's no Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, and you were there. You seen it.
Anyways.
You don't know nothing.
So this house that Jimmy Page bought, that used to be Aleister Crowley's house, Aleister Crowley bought it because he was so impressed with the land because it was once a church that burned with the congregation inside. And Aleister was like, hey!
That sounds great! Them are real human ashes. I want a building there. Wow, really?
Oh. And then Stairway to Heaven had the lyrics May Queen in it.
Stairway
and that's a poem by Aleister Crowley. Probably, like you said, not a good one because his work was so crazy. Like some of it was, I don't know, like Dr. Seuss on crack. And then the other stuff was so deep I didn't get it. So,
yeah,
I don't know. He was nuts. Did you guys ever read any of his work or no?
I wasn't going to even try.
Yeah.
Don't bring this up to Eric. See, Eric's way too young. You don't even know who these people are.
Oh, goodness. I kind of wish I didn't know who you were.
Yeah, I'm married to him. It's too late for me. So I figure if you can't beat him, join him. And then, okay, so Robert Plant said that automatic writing led them to write many songs on the Led Zeppelin 3 album, including Stairway to Heaven, and then the whole tie into Aleister Crowley. I'm like, well, that's all demonically, they all sort of work together. And then it's inscribed on the vinyl of the album, Do What Thou Wilt. So, it's just all these little
things that, we wouldn't know, like Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, Sharon!
Sharon! Give me my drugs! Is a phenomenon of his time.
That's what he called them?
Yeah. Huh. So, Aleister Crowley was a phenomenon of his time.
And he has a song that says Mr. Crowley, too.
Mr. Crowley.
Yeah.
Mr. Crowley.
And, of course,
the Doors posed with a bust of Aleister Crowley. David Bowie says... and refers to, AC, in Quicksand, the man who sold the world.
Yeah, so, when you're singing the song, you don't know that he's
You don't know lyrics and songs, and sometimes if we actually have a whole Bible study thing or a study we taught years ago. You go into the whole rock and roll and different people, and some of these
the interviews
people,
with the people who write the songs are the ones that's interesting, not necessarily the music.
Right, the rightest. And some of these people that, obviously the ones that are doing the best in the music career or have done the best, seem to be the deepest into this.
Yeah. Well, look at John Travolta and Tom Cruise, right?
What?
No, I was a little shocked and a little upset that Daryl Hall said he was fascinated with Aleister Crowley from Hall & Oates.
Hall & Oates is a group from the 80s, Eric.
I don't even know who Hall & Oates is, so.
See, we're 40s.
Justin, I know you know, but I was a little concerned about
he was
Eric.
born in the 80s, so he wasn't
yeah, but he was old enough to still hear the
Who's older from you two? Who's the older one?
I am.
Justin's older.
I told you that. I said
I know,
Eric.
but you guys aren't that far apart in age, right?
No. 5 years?
Yeah,
That's a lot, bro.
I was born in 86.
Just think about this. All right, now think about this a minute.
Oh, Lord.
Justin, when you were born, or when you were 5 years old and Eric was born, you were 5 times older than him. That's a lot, bro.
Yeah, it is.
All right. If you were 100 and somebody was 5 times older than you, they'd be 500. Duh. So think about it.
I guess. But yeah, you are deep, Scott. It's
very deep.
What people learn.
So deep, I need to get the boots on.
I have a permanent pair. Maybe that's why I wear boots all the time. And then, so Daryl Hall, he says he's fascinated with them. He owns a signed copy of Crowley's The Book of Thoth or something. Aleister Crowley's got so many books.
Good to have books.
And then Sting spent many hours studying Aleister Crowley's writings. The Police's Ghost in the Machine, when you turn their album upside down, the digits are 666. Yeah.
Coincidence.
Yeah. It's just little things. Ugh. And then in 1930, Aleister Crowley worked with a friend to fake his own death. Did you guys hear about that one?
No,
yeah.
Didn't hear that one.
He made a suicide note with these occult symbols, and he left it on this high rock, implying that he had jumped his own death. So his friend started saying that he saw Aleister Crowley's ghost the next day, and newspapers were like, awesome. They started running with the story. But then weeks later, he shows up at his own exhibit. So, it was fake. He just thought it was funny, and hey, let's just see what happens.
See, I could see him doing that, trying to imitate Jesus Christ's resurrection.
Oh, good point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, and the devil is a copycat himself. So if Aleister Crowley was trying to mimic or mock all that too, yeah. Oh, that's so good.
It's deep. Really deep.
I knew there was a reason we had to have you guys on.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you need a different perspective.
Yeah, perspective.
Well, definitely, because otherwise Scott and I just get on, and we'd rabbit trail, and who knows?
What's this rabbit trail thing?
Little poop turds.
What?
You rabbit trail.
Why are you referring to me as poop turd?
Not you. Sometimes our conversation.
What conversation? Not me. You're the one talking about in the past about banana and chocolate and freezing and chocolate and banana.
That wasn't this episode, though.
It was a few episodes ago. I remember it. You guys remember that?
Yes.
It's like everybody's like,
and
what?
It totally made sense. I think I touched a lot of lives that day. Yeah.
Sugar addicts, maybe.
Well, okay, I have a question for you guys, what you think, because me and Scott have talked about this a lot. So let's say you've got these people who buy these Aleister Crowley books and whatnot, and they start reading them and stuff, and they're into them. Do you think that alone, them reading these books, not necessarily practicing anything, but obviously reading them every night and getting into it, do you think that could conjure up some demonic spirits, or that maybe the same spirits that were leading Aleister Crowley?
Fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah, I always wondered that, because the only reason I ask is because I used to read a particular book by this famous psychic, and when I did, a lot of, I guess I hate to use this term, psychic powers, all of a sudden I knew all this stuff that I didn't know the day before. I just was able to do all these things. So I'm just wondering if the same thing would be in turn of Aleister Crowley's work, or if when you open something up to learn about it, and then not only does your interest grow, but spiritually is something going on.
All right, a few years back, I probably would have said for sure. I think that would definitely be the case, because when I started reading that Lesser Key of Solomon, that's when a lot of my the attacks happened to me with the demonic oppression and affliction. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I started reading that stuff that it all began. However, I think it could go one of two ways. One, I think you really have to have it depends on your mental state. Why are you reading this book? Why are you reading this book exactly? Are you reading it to do research like us so we can better inform our listeners and our fans and really show them what is the truth and what isn't, and why this book isn't a good book to be reading, and just give some kind of information? Or are we reading it because we find some kind of weird interest in it? We think that being able to raise demons to do your bidding is kind of cool, and that's why we decided to open the cover. And I think that if you have that particular mindset, then yeah, you're opening up all kinds of doors to let demons in, because I think Satan knows us better than we know ourselves, and he could just see a little twinkle in our eye when we open a book, and he'll know that right there, that's the door that I need, so we're going to take it. On the other hand, I think that there's always demons around us. They're always watching us. Yep. And if we are reading a particular book, they may try to influence our mind one way or the other to maybe think about, trying out some of these things that we're reading. What we're reading this, so why don't you go ahead and maybe just say something to nobody right now? Just, are there any spirits in the room? And they put that in your head to kind of get you just a little, I don't know, a little door for you to open, just a crack so you can let them in. So.
Well, Eric, this is a momentous period of time we're about to have between you and I. I agree with you 110%. That's exactly everything I would have said, is that it's a mindset, and where you're at mentally is what's going to happen. And we always talk about the heart and the soul and all these things. It really, we're all talking about the mind. God is in the mind, the soul, the spirit. We're talking about the brain, the human mind, and where we're at is what's going to be used. So if we're exactly what you said, if you're looking to do something bad with it or trying to conjure up something, well, that's what's going to happen then. Right. They're going to you want bad can happen if you ask for it. You want good, you do good things will happen. That's just the way the world works. That's what the Bible says. If you do good, good's going to happen. What's the worry? That's what Cain and Abel were all about. What's the problem?
Right.
Let's keep it real, brother. I'm feeling your blood. You know what I'm saying?
Do you agree, Justin? I'm afraid to ask you to disagree.
Well, I do agree, and I would take it one step further in saying that, say you're reading it for just historical purposes, you just want to read it, but if you have any type of fear about the things that are in that book, a bad spirit or demon, whatever you want to call it, can attach to that as well, and
sure, an open door
of that.
An open door.
Yeah.
And if you're not protected, and if you don't have any type of basis of truth in your life or anything of God or anything, well, then it's just like Eric had said, you just open something up. Now, here's a way in. Let's take this.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, we're deep. Us three guys, we're deep. Yeah.
I wish we could do like a group hug. I'm learning so much.
We can. It's just going to be kind of electrically
infused.
Yeah. All we get these little, when we talk, when they talk, we get to see their little faces bright up on the screen, and that's all we get. And you laugh, we get
It moves.
It moves. It's fun.
It is fun. Well, no, it's neat. It's cool to be able to talk to you guys about this because we're all sort of on the same level, but, we have different ideas.
We cover 4 decades, brother.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We do.
Aw, I love it. See, and we can talk about Aleister Crowley and we can laugh.
Yeah. That's right, man. AC.
If you can't laugh about it, then what's the point?
What is the point? Well, it's not that the topic's funny, but I mean, in some cases it is. I mean, some of the things this guy believed in and what they think, it's like, are you kidding me? Really? Right. Come on.
Yeah, but that's what the devil does, though. He puts ideas in your mind and leads you into wanting more, doing more, and you can just get... Because sometimes Aleister Crowley came off as really intelligent, and he was charismatic, and then other times he was, crazy, but it didn't matter. People still like this guy. I
mean, we're all fairly intelligent. None of us are patting ourselves on the back here, but there are people that are a little more simple-minded, and if they hear a little something that excites them or sounds like a little truth or sounds like a little power, they're like, well, that must be the thing I want or the thing I need, and they go that way. That's how occults and all these things are formed, and people join these groups because they hear of somebody of what they feel is intelligence because they have nothing to compare to.
Right. Yeah, but there's a difference between spiritual growth and desiring evil, I think.
Well, some of them, when it's first introduced, though, for a lot of these people, it's not introduced as evil, no more than it was with Satan was in the garden with Eden. It's like, you can't eat or touch because you don't want to be like God. So he tried to turn the whole thing around on God, like, oh, God doesn't want you to have the knowledge. That's what's going on. So he didn't make it appear as evil, but that's what it turned out to be because they disobeyed God. So it all just turned around, make it sound like, flowers and butterflies.
Well, that's like when you think of white magic versus dark magic or black magic, throughout history, we see, especially when you think about the Salem witch trials, we think of black magic being used, and that's why this all really began. And I feel like Satan at some point throughout history decided, well, these people get killed when they work with black magic, so how about I change the word to black to white, and we'll have them start doing good things. So that way they're still doing evil, which is masked, and leading people down the path they shouldn't be going,
Exactly.
And yet they still fall into my hands.
It's just a degree of wrong.
Right.
Exactly what you said. Well, if we just call it this, we mix a little bit of wrong with a little bit of right, name it a few different things. just like we've seen all the sin today, and I mean, now we're legalizing drugs, and we're allowing this, and we're allowing that, we're doing this, and what do? We rename it so it sounds okay. Mm-hmm. They want to, just call it, instead of abortion, we'll just call them, a choice. It's just renaming it.
Yeah,
it is what it is. You can rename it all you want, but sin is still sin.
But with Aleister Crowley, he was just really flat out.
Oh, he was
this
flat
is the way
out.
It is, and people are okay with it. And so much time has passed that a lot's been lost.
Well, it's kind of like this whole Trump phenomenon that's going on right now. It's not that Trump has all these great things going on.
Oh, God, even Donald Trump even made our podcast.
He made it because what he's doing is he's displaying a positive, like, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it, right or wrong. He's just coming out boldly. And that's what Aleister Crowley did. He was very bold. So he was so bold that people who aren't bold were like, whoa, this guy is really showing us, what's going on. That's exactly what Trump is doing. He's like, this is how we're going to do it. And people are eating it up.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying, Trump's right or wrong or whatever. It is a method, and it works.
Well, I definitely think that the whole Aleister Crowley thing worked because, like, where God even says that, for the last generation, he chooses them for that particular generation. I believe that Satan probably chose Aleister Crowley because he came at that right time in the 60s, when the 60s, when he started becoming real popular,
right.
And he had been long dead.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. And then... So when Aleister Crowley died, he worshipped the demon god Pan, which is the god of sexuality and lust. Surprise, surprise. So he had the hymn to Pan read at his funeral. And the last words were, I rave and I rape and I rip and I rend, everlasting world without end. And that's how he wanted to go out. And I'm thinking...
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, such a positive influence.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck with that, But the book where we got a lot of our information was Hungry from Heaven by Steve Turner. It's a really good book about his life. Did a lot of research on it. And I liked his research because he didn't just he actually researched the people in Aleister Crowley's life to get the information and made sure everything sort of matched. And
sure.
So it was pretty interesting. But I don't know. So that's it for Al, talking about Al. But
bye-bye, Eddie.
See ya. Oh gosh, that's one person I'm glad is gone. But hey, so with you guys, when are we on? We're going to be on your show soon, right?
You will be on our Halloween episode, which unfortunately airs the day after Halloween because Justin wasn't thinking, but you guys will be joining us for our Halloween episode and our New Year's episode where we will have a roundtable for several hosts to come on.
Hey, when are you going to have this New Year's thing?
It'll be before New Year's.
But it'll air.
All right. Is that going to be this year?
No, it'll be next New Year's Eve.
Whoa, dude. That sounds cool.
I'll just make sure he's there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's just an idea that I came up with because we always do a Christmas, Halloween, New Year's episode, but we can only say so much about the same thing over and over again. Why not do something fun with people that are of similar interest?
You mean cool?
Basically.
And then you'll have us say the same things over and over again.
Well, at least it's fresh. It's a fresh voice, at least, saying
right, yeah.
Could you imagine all of us really around a real table, though, talking? And my gosh. It would be like hours and hours. That would be so fun.
Well, if you come to the wedding, it might happen.
I'm telling you, I think we will. Okay, so hey, Justin, why don't you tell everybody how to get to Paratruth Radio, and then after, Eric, I'd love for you to tell them a little bit about your project, and maybe people could donate. Cha-ching.
You did that thing again. Yeah. What is that noise?
That's
we don't have any horses in here.
Okay. Go ahead, Justin.
All right. Well, the easiest way to get a hold of us is go to paratruthradio.com. You can go to the live chat there, especially while we're on air. Or
I just want to add.
What's that?
I love being on chat. That's fun.
Yeah. And you can also go to the contact page and just fill out the little form there that'll send us an email. Or you can email us at paratruthradio@gmail.com. Or you can go on to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We are all over the place, guys.
Whoa.
That's a lot of horse.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. Go nuts. Your project is so cool. I want people to hear about it because I donated. So.
Well, I know for a lot of my listeners, or our listeners, Justin, that might be tuning in tonight. I've been gone from Paratruth Radio for about 3 weeks, I think, maybe. Yeah, I think 3 weeks, roughly.
On there,
yeah. And I've been working on the core production of my film, The Revealed. And we actually just finished core production about 2 weeks ago. And now I'm in the post-production phase, which is all the editing and color correction. It's probably the longest and most tedious of phases just because of all the small details that you have to get perfect if you want to really bring the film together and make it, special in some way. But to tell you a little bit about the story and what it's all about, The Revealed is about a young New York Times bestselling author named Abigail Franklin. Now, ever since she was a little girl, she wondered whether human beings were alone in the universe. And as any child, her imagination ran wild. So growing up, she would often have dreams of an unknown entity visiting her, even though there was no proof of such claims. This question and the events led her to start writing books on extraterrestrial life, but it wasn't until she was in her mid-20s and deep into her career that she re-witnessed the horrific events of her childhood. Unsure of what precautions to take, she turns to her old friend Sammy Toll, who tells her that what he believes she's witnessing is something much more sinister than a couple of dreams. And in fact, he believes that she's had an encounter with an evil race of spiritual beings from another dimension.
What?
Yeah. So this is a story that I actually originally wrote or was starting to write as a full-length feature film, probably around 90 minutes or so. And it got to a point where just the information I was coming up with and the ideas weren't flowing. And it was just a lot of filler to make a 90-minute long film. So I decided to just turn it into a short film, something that's just quick, to the point. You get the gist of who these people are, and you get the idea of what she's going through. And so here we are, a couple of weeks out of the core production and into post-production. And I've narrowed what I had was about 59 and a half minutes of footage that I was going to use. I had a lot more than that. I had probably around, 70 plus hours of footage. And I narrowed it down to an hour. And then from that, over the past 2 weeks, I've cut it down to around 10 minutes. 10 minutes, 31 seconds to be exact.
I'm a woman. I could never do that.
Wow. It sounds crazy, and it sounds almost impossible to take an hour worth of footage and condense it to 10 minutes. But when you start piecing these, it's like a puzzle. Because you don't always shoot a film in order. Like, we might shoot scene 1 on day 1, and then day 2, I'll shoot scene 10. Day 3 will be scene 20, et cetera, et cetera. And it'll be in all these jumbles and pieces at the end, and you got to move around and piece them together and so on and so forth. And so I started cutting out shots and cutting out certain dialogue and this and that just, in the end, seemed like it was just a run-on. It was too much filler. It would have pushed people away. They would have lost interest. And so coming down to it, I'm at 10 minutes and 31 seconds right now. It'll probably get just a little bit shorter once I fine-tune it. And then I move into all the music, getting all the sound effects, all the music set up. I'm going to be working with a film scorer. I'm going to be meeting with them probably not until after the new year, but I'll be talking with them, getting their input, getting their ideas. They'll be able to contribute to the film and really just bring everything together. I plan on having a trailer out for everyone to see, probably by Christmas. This Christmas coming up, December 25th. And then the actual film will be fully completed around May 8th. And from there, I jet off into the film festival circuit and start putting it into the Cleveland Film Festival, the Lynchburg Film Festival, and start hopefully taking it to different areas around the country, probably New York, California, North Carolina,
Justin, what are you going to do? You're never going to see him.
I'll see him. He wants to maybe get into the Scarefest festival and maybe us get a booth there as well and advertise both. So.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to work around that crazy schedule. It's like being best friends with Steven Spielberg. I don't know how that works.
I know how you feel, Eric, man. I'm there, dude. I'm there every week, every day, 24/7. And it's rough life, bro.
Can people still contribute to your project or no?
I mean, if they want, they can. I don't have a Indiegogo up anymore. Now, if anyone is interested in donating, I just kind of ask them to go to the Paratruth email, because that's the easiest way to contact me. I would give them my production company's email, but that's for business. So I don't want everybody to have that email.
Yeah, I hear you there.
But yeah, if you're interested in donating,
just take the money.
You just take the money.
I'll give it to Eric when I see him.
But yeah, I'm still, right now I've got about a few $100s left, and I'm probably going to need more than that because I still have to pay my film scorer who's going to do all the music for me and the sound effects. I still need to pay the guy who's going to do some of the special effects for me. I'm still going to have to pay for the film festival circuits, because you do have to pay to get into those, and those range anywhere from as small as $25 upwards of $300 just to get into one of those.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and I think it's like $25 to submit it, and that's not even guaranteeing you that you get in. That's just like, hey, here's $25 and my film, please consider me. And that's it. But, that's the problem with film. Everything costs money. You don't think it does, but it costs money, and it costs a lot of money. So yeah, I'm definitely still taking in funds. If anyone's interested in donating, you could just email us, or email me specifically if you'd like, at paratruthradio@gmail.com. And just say, this is for Eric's film, or this is for the Revealed, and we'll know what you're talking about, and I can get in contact with you and we could discuss it via email. And yeah, so I'll have an account set up and we'll go that route.
Awesome. And then we'll put a trailer up on our website when you have that up too, if that would be okay with you.
Well, I tell you, I want to do something now. I'm not a person of just talk. I tell you what, I'm serious, guys. Now this is big stuff right here. I want to give 25% of today's proceeds towards Eric.
That's great, since we're not funded.
Oh, could be a problem.
But
it's a nice gesture, though, Scott. It's a nice gesture.
Yeah.
Well, what Scott doesn't know is I put money in a pot every time, so you guys are going to get money then.
Yeah, well.
Well, if anybody needs to get a hold of us, we have a new website, which I mentioned before, which is tsradio.com. So they can go on there and...
TS Radio.
It's just up and running, so you don't have everything on there yet, but you can listen to our shows and chat while we're live. Soon we're going to have merchandise. It's so hard to talk when he's singing in my ear. And, of course, we have our SWAT website, which is up for spiritual help and resources, which is eph612swat.com. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at TSR Parapod. You can like us on Facebook, where we put up links and info and episodes, and we'll have Justin and Eric's and Paratruth Radio's information up there too. And of course, Gmail, G+, all that fun stuff. You can follow us on Spreaker. You'll get notifications when we broadcast live if you follow us on Spreaker, so I always recommend that. But I want to thank you guys very, very much for helping us out and joining in on the convo about Al.
It's always good to talk about Al.
You graced us with your PTR. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
until next time, brother, just remember, you may have only listened to this
episode.
All right, folks, that has been the show for this week. Next week, we will be in the same room at the same time, Eric and myself. So that's going to be a show you don't want to miss. It's going to be shenanigans galore. So until next week, where you will find us, same time, same channel. My name is Justin. Have a good night, guys.
If you enjoyed this episode of Paratruth Radio, and you would like to listen to it again, or are interested in listening to any of our past episodes, then you can listen to them on HD at our website, paratruthradio.com.
And you can also find us at Stitcher, Blueberry, TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube.
And of course, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for brand new updates of our show every day.